we're a small community. We're a school of about 420 students. We feel that that's big enough to let everyone have the opportunities and the challenges that they need, whether that's academically or extracurricularly, but small enough so we can still know each other. That allows us as faculty members to know when our students might need a little more support or a little more challenge, a little more push somewhere. So I think that that is a big piece of it. We also are very intentional about our developing community here. We do, usually in a typical school week, we will spend usually 6 different times throughout the week. We will come together as an entire school, either for chapel or family style meal or for a speaker. And so we think that coming together, getting to hear other people's stories, getting to know people who you might not normally run into on the course of a normal day helps to build that community, right? We're all here doing the same thing in the same place. And I think our campus is also set up for it. We have several buildings where we can have all of our school come together, which is, I think, a little unique to Westminster. And then also just kind of how we're this campus up on a hill, right? We have easy access to different things off of campus, but when you're here on campus, we're really here all together, and there's no one else here. It's just us. So that idea of kind of being together, learning together is really important for us. Academically, we have a really unique architecture and engineering program. And I think it's something that very few other schools have, especially schools our size. And it started decades ago with a math teacher who was also interested in architecture and started offering that as an elective. And that's now grown to 3 separate levels of architecture classes and multiple sections in each level. And so students can take a full 3 years of architecture from having no experience to those who have some pretty good experience. And then it's capped with an engineering class that is going to really mesh well with that architecture curriculum. It's an introduction to engineering, a college level intro to engineering class. It's going to tend a little more towards structural engineering, mechanical engineering, right? And so the students are designing bridges and working with different robots. They're doing some programming and some coding in that, but it's typically a very hands-on course. So that 4 years of architecture and engineering, we think, is pretty unique. We also have a very unique senior seminar for our English classes, which we really and our students really like. At Westminster, we're split up in 3 terms. We're on trimesters. So in the first trimester, all of our seniors, all of our sixth formers are having the same English curriculum. They're all reading the same books, the same poetry, and then they will come together as an entire class a couple times during that term for a few lectures. And in general, our classes are never lecture-based. They're always very small, but there's this acknowledgement that they're going off to college and they're going to be sitting in lecture halls where they might have 100 or 200 people in class. And so we feel like the best way to introduce them to that is here, where they're comfortable with their faculty that they know. And so a couple lectures a year where the entire class is together. Again, that also brings them together as a group. And then in the winter and spring, those classes are all elective based. And so the students get to choose whatever they would like to be studying in those. And so those range from like a traditional British literature class, poetry, Shakespeare, science fiction. There's all these different options. And so you have this one very traditional term, and then these 2 terms that are very much like college seminar. So I think that is pretty unique for us as well. Outside of the classroom, I think we have some pretty unique things. First of all, I think our chapel program is something that, while not solely unique to Westminster, I think it's a really important part and something that we really hold dear. It's a non-denominational program. It's led by our students. It's in the middle of the day, so it allows our students to have a little break from classes and to hear someone's story. We think it's an important part about building that community that we talked about earlier. And it is really, the students can talk about anything. Usually it's our seniors. It's not mandatory. It's optional to speak, but usually it's our seniors talking about what they love about Westminster, why they chose Westminster, or maybe just their family or something, or a trip that they've taken. So it's really open to anything. And I think it allows our students to get to know each other in a different way. In general, our students love things when they can come together and all be together, especially fall and spring when they can be outside, but also other opportunities where they can kind of support each other. I would say that some of the bigger ones, most exciting ones, start the school year with a big carnival with lots of activities out on the quad and kind of games, and we will split the school into different groups, right? And so always throughout the year, you're getting paired up with students who you might not normally interact with on a daily basis. So just different things to get people to know each other. So that's a lot of kind of, fun and games and traditional carnival games. And we'll do something similar at the end of the school year. That's a little more, when it's warm outside in the spring, it's a little, there might be like water slide, or we had kind of Segway tours. So those are those big weekends. I would say also probably the most exciting in some ways are kind of the easiest ones for us, but our students love when they have opportunities to support each other. And so that might be a sporting event at night. So, both of our soccer teams will play big games at night here in the fall, and the whole school will be able to come out to that. The same thing would happen for the play or the musical in the winter. So those are, again, chances when all of the students can be together and cheering on their friends and seeing their friends kind of at their best. And then also, each term will kind of have a big dance or something, right? So in the fall, the Halloween dance would be a lot of fun. All the students would get dressed up in costumes. And then in the winter, we'd have more of a formal dance. I think that that's a really important part of what we all do as schools right now. I think that it's certainly not where we started when we started 200 and 300 years ago, but bringing a diverse group to campus, to such a small campus where you're going to be kind of living together and learning together in such an intimate environment, has really become probably the most important thing we do, right? Because our students are really getting to learn from each other in and out of the classroom. And so I think, again, creating those opportunities for students to get to know each other, students who might not see each other over the course of a day, right? Whether that's at a family style meal where those tables are assigned and you might have some younger, newer freshmen sitting at a table with juniors and seniors and a faculty member, right? And so having all of these little small areas where different groups come together, right? And so you can't just kind of decide like, okay, I'm an ice hockey player and I'm going to sit at this table with my ice hockey friends every day, or I'm an international student, I'm just going to sit at this one table every day. There's all these different times where we mix those groups. And so whether that's in the dorms, in the dining hall, obviously in the classroom, on the teams as well. And then I think it's really a lot about sharing, encouraging our international students to share what brought them here, what their story is. And that might be through a chapel talk, or that might just be as simple as, celebrating something on a special day, having, a Lunar New Year celebration that's open to our whole community, something like that. Because I think by coming here, the international students they're immediately investing in the American culture, right? Because that is everywhere. And so making sure that we create these opportunities for our international students to share their cultures with us. And again, I think that's usually best in those small settings, but I think our kids do a great job with that. There were a lot last year. I think probably the most popular thing for almost any event is it involves food. And so definitely the most exciting one last year was our Korean parents sponsored a local Korean barbecue food truck to come to campus for the whole school for a day. And that, I think, kind of that blending of kind of this very prominent feature both in the US and abroad right now is the food trucks. And there's this connotation that, okay, the food truck comes, that's going to be good food, it's going to be fun. And so to see kind of all of our international and domestic students crowding around and getting some Korean barbecue and kind of learning from our Korean students what that's like for them at home. That was definitely the most exciting, the most popular, and kind of the longest line. Lunar New Year celebration every year is great and a great opportunity for domestic students to learn about those traditions. And then we try to bring in usually some artists, some sort of performing artists from different backgrounds every year. And so we've had kind of dance troupes, musical groups, even some kind of gymnastics type groups. And those performances are always really well received and exciting.